I'm disturbed by most everything about them. Their complacent foolishness, their self-congratulatory rituals ad nauseum, the constant and proud displays of short-sighted mental illness made vogue, the never-ceasing carousel of trauma-bonding sufferers willingly on display, working-class cannon fodder, grinning ear to ear throughout the entirety of their stunted, emotional, intellectual, and spiritual lives. When chimpanzees show their teeth, it is considered a sign of aggression. But when humans show their bacterial-ridden tusks, it's considered, at least in this current day of oral hygiene, a gesture of goodwill. But what humans dislike admitting is that the act of smiling is a covert act of aggression in showing one's status, an ultimately petty status that barely amounts to being a ruthlessly pacified commoner with access to modern methods of hygiene. Humans have been taught to love the self-destructive nature of spinning in circles on at least a daily basis. I should know. Even while making great pilgrimages to and from their most sacred and holiest of carnival fairgrounds, somehow ecstatic in their consumption, replication, and perpetuation of only the lowest quality of delusions. Serving unbeknownst to themselves as a distraction from any real thought or self-reflection on any matter of any real importance, personal or communal. Concerned only with the most trivial and instantly gratifying to the senses are these remnants of what once had been reasonably, critically thinking human beings, now existing only in the monochromed, monolithic shadows of their ancestral selves. All of that ice age will to survive and resulting progeny not honored or preserved. No, only to be diminished into what amounts to a collective hive mind of pseudo-individualism, programmed in expressing hypocrisy through unconscious acts of self-destruction, self-policing, self-censoring, self-deluding, self-duplicating, and self-obsessing. And in the name of what? A demoralizing dystopia to any pair of eyes not peering through rose-tinted glasses. Tragic, these once human beasts still aimlessly search, roaming free-range cages, carrying on their backs a ridiculous notion that things were in a not-so-distant past much better. Let me tell you this. Only a human with a chemically or otherwise lobotomized forebrain would think or take solace in such lies. Humanity's existence is riddled with enough of its own torture that it overflows the cosmic glass of time.
The media machine, once a revered institution tasked with illuminating the dark corners of power and giving voice to the voiceless, has metamorphosed into a grotesque caricature of its former self. It is now an insidious force, shaping public perception with the precision of a surgeon's scalpel but with the intent of a propagandist. Its primary mission is no longer to inform, educate, and empower the populace, but to manipulate, mislead, and mollify them into a state of perpetual ignorance and passive consumption. The ceaseless churn of the 24-hour news cycle has transformed journalism from a noble pursuit into a frenzied race for ratings. Sensationalism reigns supreme, with stories crafted not to enlighten but to entertain and incite. Tragedy is commodified, disaster is dramatized, and human suffering is packaged into bite-sized segments designed to keep viewers glued to their screens. The line between news and entertainment has dissolved, leaving a toxic amalgam that exploits the worst of human nature: fear, anger, and voyeurism. Corporate ownership of media outlets has exacerbated this degradation, creating an environment where journalistic integrity is sacrificed on the altar of profit. Newsrooms, once the bastions of truth seekers, are now beholden to the interests of their corporate overlords. Investigative journalism, which requires time, resources, and most importantly, the freedom to challenge powerful interests, has been systematically gutted. Instead, we are fed a steady diet of fluff and distraction, celebrity scandals, sports spectacles, and manufactured controversies that serve to divert attention from the issues that truly matter. Advertising dollars dictate content, and the symbiotic relationship between media and corporate interests ensures that the news is tailored to serve the needs of the wealthy elite. Critical stories about corporate malfeasance, environmental destruction, and systemic inequality are buried or spun to minimize their impact. The media, far from being the watchdog of democracy, has become the lapdog of capitalism, barking on command and licking the hand that feeds it. And with that, I bid you adieu. Lul.
Of course, as you may already know, human beings make up the majority population of animals in zoos. Human beings, even while hilariously straight-faced at the folding poker table of life, believe themselves to be more than a foolish animal. When you finally see the human zoo animals for what they are, and begin to observe their ability to imitate the art they see on their domesticating, propagandized television screens, you will then easily see why tragedy and comedy, which are the cornerstones of theatre, become so intertwined in the lives of these monolith-imitating, monkey-see, monkey-do zoo animals. Hopefully, this realization hits you like a government-subsidized, coal smoke billowing, unapologetically loud, air-screeching steam locomotive, hauling 33 tons of Masonic bricks to the nation's next big politically correct riot. And to think, all the while, back at the slaughterhouses we call public schools, consistently misled youth are face down in their devices, buzzing about on bits of dopamine, vindictively achieved through a cheap validate or be validated digital transaction, largely based on some artificially trending socio-political meme or belief that also praises ignorance, as any of these so-called social forms of media promote deafening echo chambers. And with each generation that passes, exponentially more are entrained from birth in the notion that it is best to blindly conform, obey, and to never question the origin of your God, which is simply, whether you want to admit it or not, money, on which is based material access, encompassed by what is coercion through deprivations, physically and spiritually. And even more important than the initial directive is the fear instilled in humans that dare to have any critical thoughts on the directive and quickly taught that anyone can and will be dealt with in the most brutal means available for such transgressions. And right before the most brutal means become available, these occult-sanctioned butchers will glean the blood from their self-proclaimed blessed blades, as they will make no reservations in telling anyone, man, woman, or child, prior to their last breath, that fear is the mind killer, and that because of this, they were already dead the day they were born, and that they must sleep forever, for only the living dead know God. The pain unbearable, the cause unknown to most except those who administer pain as if it were medication. What is this crazy new world really about? Are we as a species with sentience truly happy? Are we fulfilled with our yearly Black Friday television purchases in high-definition hypno-colours? How monolithic in size should our average television be in the near future? Should it take up the entire wall? Will the televisions of the future be the walls? It certainly seems that way. When I look off into the horizon, I can see the four horsemen galloping through pitch-black clouds of plastic smoke. These are not of flesh and blood either, but of steel and gold, of motor and sensor, of cold, calculated binary answers to complicated questions, deathly simplified. Exist or not? It always was the most thoughtful question to a machine, the kind of question that the machines could give a simple answer to, yes or no, if this then that, if that then this, life or death, to shine their blades in perpetuity, yes or no. One day, any day, I myself too will die, and so I'll share this with you. Hello.